Hi there, thank you so much for you joining. How are you, Jabor? How are you, Jabor? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my lolly brother. Hi, Mahreen. How are you, Mahreen? Where are you from watching, Mahreen Mustafa? Thank you so much for you joining my stream, pretty Mahreen. What's up, pretty? How are you, dear? Thank you so much for you joining to the stream. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Oh, you are from watching from USA. Thank you so much for the US people. Have to watch my stream and spread the love on my stream. Thank you, Maureen from Pakistan, Maureen. Thank you. Are you Maureen? You are really gal. Thank you so much, Jabbar, for watching from USA, my lolly brother. What's your real name, my dear? Yeah, Jabber, you should have to write your name there. Oh, Zev, Zev is a lovely person of our stream. How are you, my lovely brother? Zev, how are you, my lovely brother? Write me right the first name of the Zev, guys. Thank you so much for you joining to the stream, dear Zev. How are you, dear Zev? Thank you so much for you joining, dear Zev. How are you, Zev? A lot of love and respect. What's doing right now, dear Zev? Thank you so much for you joining, my lolly brother. 1 second, guys. Thank you so much for you joining to stream, Zev. Thank you so much. What's doing great right now, dear Zev? Farek, don't spam, then you will be got the time out from my screen. Thank you so much, dear Jalia. How are you, dear Jalia? Thank you so much for you joining to stream, Jalia. How are you, Mal? How are you, married brother, dear Jala? Thank you so much for you joining, Jala. Marine, how are you, pretty Marine? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Marine. Farik, how are you, dear Farik? Thank you so much for you joining to stream, dear Farik. To write your name, guys, do the super chat and also send the laughing disco. I'm at a basketball game with my dad. My dad is coaching. Wow, that's great. That's great, there. You're enjoying with your dad with a basketball. Kiyoma, how are you, dear Kiyoma? Thank you so much, Kiyoma. Turkey, what's your dad name? Let me write on my board. Turkey, thank you so much for your joining. Turkey, I write your name there. Marina, how are you, dear Marina? Thank you so much for your joining to stream, dear Marina. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Denti, how are you, dear Denti? Thank you so much for your joining, Denti. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Ayola, how are you, dear Ayoje? Thank you so much for joining to stream, my dear. Hurry up, guys. Every single person. Aswar. How are you, dear Aswar? Thank you so much for you joining, Aswar. Thank you so much for you joining. Aaron. How are you, dear Aaron? Thank you so much for you joining to stream, Aaron. A lot of love and respect for you joining. It is what is your, what do you mean, my dear? It is 1 to 40. What? I did not understand. Malik, how are you, dear Malik? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Malik. Please, guys, don't spam on the screen. Just have to write a single name in the screen, guys. Uh, the score. Wow. How many score you have? Leusa, how are you, dear Leusa? Thank you so much for you joining to screen, dear Leusa. A lot of love and respect. Kaden, how are you, dear Kaden? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Kaden. Tonomi, how are you, dear Tonomi? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Tonomo. Thank you so much for your joining. Samantha, how are you, dear Samantha? Thank you so much for your joining, Samantha. How are you, dear Samantha? Thank you so much for your joining. A lot of love and respect. Leora, how are you, lovely Leora? Thank you so much for your joining. Please, guys, do the super chat, guys, to skip the line, and also do the super chat by supporting my stream. And thank you so much for your joining, Rayojan. How are you, dear Rayojan? Thank you so much for your joining, my dear Rayojan. How are you, dear? A lot of love, and send a laughing disco for the appreciation, guys. If somebody have can send easily to send a laughing disco for the appreciation. Canale, how are you, dear Canale? Thank you so much for your joining to a stream, Canale. Thank you so much for your joining, my lovely brother. Ale, how are you, dear Ale? Thank you so much for your joining to stream, Ale. How are you, dear Ale? Please, guys, just don't spam, guys. I hate the spamming. Yeah, just write have the single name. I'm writing the name of the every person on the screen. Bye, my dear Lama. How are you, dear Lama? Thank you so much for your joining to stream. Yeah, don't spamming. I had the spamming, guys. Jasmine, how are you, dear Jasmine? Thank you so much for your joining to a stream, Jasmine. Where are you from watching, dear Jasmine? Aveline, how are you, dear Aveline? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Aveline, and lot of love and respect for your joining. Bye, Zev. Thank you so much for your joining. A lot of love and respect for your joining, my dear. God bless you, Charlie. How are you, dear Charlie? Thank you so much for your joining, Charlie. Thank you so much, dear Zev. God bless you, healthy life. God bless your, yeah, God bless healthy life to your dad. A lot of love for you, for your dad. Thank you so much, my dear. Rose, how are you, dear Rose? Thank you so much for joining, Rose. I'm from Pakistan. Jasmine, I'm from Pakistan, my dear. Rain, how are you, dear Rain? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Rain. How are you, dear Rain? Thank you so much for your joining. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys, without any spamming. Yeah, without any spamming, just you should have to write your name, guys. If you wanna can support, you should send a laughing disco or do a super chat, guys, to completing my goal. Nalan, how are you, dear Nalan? Thank you so much for your joining to a screen. Mashallah, I am also half Pakistani. Where do you living, my dear? Nale, how are you, dear Nale? Thank you so much for your joining to a stream. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining, my dear. Thank you, Jani. How are you, dear Jani? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Jani. Amelie, how are you, dear Amelie? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Amelie. A lot of love and respect. Oh, you are currently living in Islamabad. Daddy, how are you, dear Daddy? Thank you so much for your joining to a stream, Daddy. Thank you, Emil. How are you, dear Emil? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you. Currently, right now, you are living in Pakistan. That's great, Jasmine. Thank you. Carol, how are you, dear Carol? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you, Carol, for your joining. Shanna, how are you, pretty Shanna? Thank you so much for your joining, Shanna. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Jam, how are you, Jam? Thank you so much for your joining, Jam. Thank you. Good job. Thank you so much, my dear. Talia, how are you, dear Talia? Thank you so much for your joining. Yeah, guys, to do the super chat, guys, to do the super chat for the appreciation, guys. Please help me to completing my goal, guys. Yeah, someone click on my goal to helping to completing my goal, guys. Yeah, this is my goal. This is my goal. Zero effort to click on the goal, guys. You'll be showing the goal. Click on the goal to completing my goal. Sadev, how are you, dear Sadev? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Sadev. How are you, Sadev? Thank you so much for your joining. Hira, how are you, dear Hira? Thank you so much for joining. Lisa, how are you, pretty Lisa? Thank you so much for your joining, Lisa. And thank you so much, Ayon. How are you, Ayon? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Ayon. Thank you so much for your joining. Elsie, how are you, dear Elsie? Thank you so much for your joining. Elsie, a lot of love and respect for your joining. Ion, I write your name there. I help you make your goal. No, I did not have to complete my goal, my dear. Someone to help me to completing my goal. Lamu, hurry, Lamu. Thank you so much for your joining to Citrine. I love you too, Jasmine. Thank you for joining. Lanu, how are you, Lanu? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you. Thank you so much for your joining, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Asingna, how are you, dear? Asingna, how are you, dear? Asingna, thank you so much for joining to Citrine. Damor, how are you, Damor? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Damor. Thank you so much for your joining, Damor. Thank you, Damor. Don't spam, my dear, please. It's a request from every person. Don't spam. If you have to spam, you will be got the time audit from the mod by the mod. Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you for the subscribing. Thank you. Thank you. Jacinto, how are you, Jacinto? Thank you so much for your joining, Jacinto. Thank you so much for your joining. Donor, how are you, dear Donor? Thank you so much for your joining, Donor. A lot of love and respect. Marcelli, how are you, dear Marcelli? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Marcella. Thank you so much. To write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. A lot of love and respect for your joining, guys. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for the star. Thank you so much for the star, my lovely brother. David, God bless you, my dear David. If you can send a laughing disco. Yeah, thank you so much for your joining. Jax, how are you, dear Jax? Thank you so much for your joining, Jax. Please send a laughing disco, guys. Thank you so much for your joining, Jax. Thank you, Havan. How are you, dear Havan? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Havan. A lot of love and respect for your joining. City Boy, thank you so much for joining to Citrine. Naomi, how are you, dear Naomi? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Naomi. City Boy, how are you, City Boy? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine. Sonia, how are you, dear Sonia? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Sonia. Liusa, how are you, dear Liusa? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine. Leojan, how are you, Leojan? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Leojan. Lisa, I write your name, my dear. Felix, how are you, dear Felix? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Felix. And Laures, how are you, Laures? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine. Thank you so much for your joining. And Just Mary, how are you, Just Mary? Thank you so much for your joining, Just Mary. How are you, Just Mary? Thank you so much for your joining, Just Mary. A lot of love and respect for your joining. 6-7. Yeah, you sent a 6-7 now. Now you sent a 6-7. Thank you so much for your joining. Mia, how are you, Mia? Thank you so much for your joining, Mia. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you so much for your joining, my dear. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. David, I write your name, my dear. Please, just it's a request from every person. Don't spam, guys. Leo San, how are you, Leo San? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Leo San. Thank you so much for joining to Citrine. You are from Brazil. Brazilian person have to support me. And now many Brazilian have to support me. They have to do the super chat. They have also Astro. How are you, Astro? They have also to do the super chat. They have to send the laughing disco. Yeah, send the gift. I have to get the money gift from that Brazilian person. David, how are you, David? Thank you so much for joining. Leah, I write your name, Leah. Manoon, how are you, dear Manoon? Thank you so much for your joining, Manoon. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Cholio, how are you, Cholio? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, Cholio. A lot of love and respect. Asil, how are you, dear Asil? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. Romy, how are you, dear Romy? Please, guys, if you spam on the screen, then you will be get the time order from the screen, guys. Romy, how are you, dear Romy? Thank you. Reham, how are you, Reham? Thank you so much for joining to sit room, Reham. How are you, dear Reham? Please, guys, don't spam, guys. Don't spam. Hi, Jen. How are you, dear Hayun Jan? Thank you so much for joining to Citrine, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Alice, how are you, dear Alice? Thank you so much for joining, Alice. Thank you so much for your joining. Kathy, how are you, dear Kathy? Thank you so much for your joining, Kathy. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you so much for your joining. Hajira, how are you, dear Hajira? Thank you so much for joining, Hajira. Tracy, thank you so much for the 6-7. Tracy, thank you so much for joining to a stream. Tracy, thank you. Thank you so much for the 6-7, my lovely brother. Let me look. So send me. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so to you. How are you? So thank you so much. So tune. Thank you so much for the 6-7, my dear. If you can easily, please send a laughing disco for the appreciation, my dear. Thank you. Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you so much for the for giving me a race pack. Thank you. And thank you so much for your joining, my dear. A lot of love and respect. If someone has to trying to spam, they will be got time order on the screen. Awa, how are you, Awa? Lara, how are you, Lara? Thank you so much for your joining, Lara. How are you, dear Lara? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you so much for your joining, dear Lara. Junior, how are you, Junior? Thank you so much for joining to sit to ring, Junior. How are you, Junior? Thank you. Marley, how are you, dear Marley? Thank you so much for your joining, Marley. How are you, dear Marley? Thank you so much for your joining. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Dear? Thank you. Hi, Mia. How are you, Mia? Thank you so much for your joining, Mia. A lot of love and respect for your joining, Maya. Thank you so much, dear Maya. Jarel, how are you, Jarel? Thank you so much for your joining, Jarel. Thank you so much for your joining, Jarel. Ale, how are you, dear Ale? Thank you so much for your joining. Rodina, how are you, dear Rodina? Thank you so much for your joining, Rodina. Thank you so much for your joining. To write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Alije, how are you, dear Alije? Thank you so much for your joining to stream, Alije. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you. Thank you so much for your joining, making the like and subscribing to the channel. If you have to spam on the screen, guys, you will be got the time order. Yeah. Mekan, how are you, dear Mekan? Thank you so much for your joining, Mekan. Alini, how are you, dear Alini? Thank you so much for your joining, Alani. How are you, dear Alani? A lot of love and respect for your joining. Jack, how are you, dear Jack? Thank you so much for your joining. Please send a laughing disco, guys. Thank you, Dennis. Sorry, dear Dennis. Thank you so much for your joining, Dennis. Jack, I'll write your name, my dear. Amy, how are you, dear Amy? Thank you so much for your joining, Amy. Gabriel, how are you, dear Gabriel? Thank you so much for joining to sit room, dear Gabriel. Thank you so much for your joining. Dennis, I write your name, dear Dennis. Lena, how are you, dear Lena? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Lena. A lot of love and respect. Somebody do a super chat, guys. If you can super chat, click on my goal to do a super chat. If you can send the laughing disco at the rain, how are you, dear at the rain? If you can do send the laughing disco to do the send a laughing disco, guys. Male, how are you, dear Male? Thank you so much for joining to City. Malia, how are you, dear Malia? Thank you so much for your joining, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, guys, do a blue super chat, guys. Do is now costly, guys. It's a very cheap. Yeah, blue super chat is a very cheap, guys. You should to make a blue for the happiness at the arena. I write your name, my lovely brother. Thank you so much for your joining. Rodina, how are you, dear Rodina? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Rodina. Thank you so much for your joining. Adarena, I write your name, Adarena. I have write your name, my dear. Marwa, how are you, dear Marwa? Thank you so much, dear Marwa. Thank you so much for joining. Rose, how are you, dear Rose? Thank you so much for your joining, Rose. Thank you so much for your joining. Kia, how are you, dear Kaya? Thank you so much for your joining, Kaya. Thank you so much for your joining. Evelyn, you sent a 6-7. I will write Adarena 6-7. Yeah. Evelyn, how are you, dear Evelyn? Thank you so much for your joining. Leela, how are you, dear Leela? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Leela. Thank you. Alice, how are you, dear Alice? Thank you so much for joining. Alan, how are you, dear Alan? Thank you so much for your joining, Alan. Zena, how are you, dear Zena? Thank you so much for your joining, Zena. Thank you so much for joining, Zena. Karen, how are you, dear Karen? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Karen. Thank you so much for your joining, Karen. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, guys, someone has to send a laughing disco. Hi, Junaid, how are you, Jannat? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim. Yeah, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. A lot of love and respect for you joining. To write your name in the chat. Jan, how are you, dear Jan? Thank you so much for your joining, Jan. Golly, how are you, dear Golia? Thank you so much for joining, Golia. How are you, Golia? Lacey, how are you, dear Lacey? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, dear Lacey. Thank you so much for your joining. Angolia, I write your name, my dear. Putin, how are you, dear Putin? Thank you so much for your joining, guys. Thank you. I'm fine. How are you, dear Finn? How are you, Finn? Thank you so much for your joining to Sitarim, dear Finn. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Jaffer, how are you, Jaffer? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Jaffer. How are you, dear Jaffer? Thank you so much for your joining, Jaffer. Please, guys, to send a blue super chat, guys. Somi, how are you, dear Somi? How are you, Somi? And thank you so much, Adeline. How are you, dear Adeline? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Adeline. How are you, Adeline? Thank you so much for your joining. Rodin, how are you, dear Rodin? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, dear Rodin. Lena, how are you, dear Lena? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you so much. Probe, how are you, dear Paul? Thank you so much for your joining, Probe. Thank you. Hi, Junnat. How are you, lovely Junnat? Thank you so much for your joining, Junnat. Thank you so much. Johnny, how are you, Johnny? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Johnny. Thank you. Please, guys, don't spam, guys. Yosamin, how are you, Yosamin? Every respected member to write your name in the chat, guys. Zahanil, don't spam. Zahanil, don't spam, my dear. Fasu, then you will be got the time outed. You can write the many name. Yeah. Hazel, how are you, dear Hazel? Thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, Hazel. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you, Hazel. Thank you, Johnny. How are you, dear Johnny? Thank you so much for your joining, Johnny. A lot of love and respect for your joining, Johnny. Hurry up, guys, to send a laughing disco. Do the super chat, guys, for the appreciation. A lot of love and respect for you joining to Sitarim, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for your joining, guys. If someone can do the donation, guys, click on my goal. Yeah, click on my goal. Do a super chat for yeah, guys. Do the super chat for the donation. You should have to do the super chat, guys. Charledo, how are you, Charledo? Thank you so much, Charledo. And thank you so much for joining to Sitarim, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. Janelle, don't spam Janelle. It's your last comment, okay? And then on the next comment you will be got the time out. To write your name in the chat, guys. Sanisha, how are you, Sanisha? Thank you so much for joining, Sanisha. How are you, dear Sanisha? No, dear, no, dear. Thank you. You have to do the super chat. Then you can do the super chat. Ayodore, how are you, Ayodore? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring, Ayodore. How are you, Ayodore? Thank you. Ramiktan, how are you, Ramiktan? Thank you so much for your joining, Ramiktan. Thank you so much for your joining. Rose, how are you, dear Rose? Thank you so much for your joining, Rose. Thank you, and thank you, no problem, and thank you. If you can do the super chat, you have to do the super chat, my dear. Yeah, you have click on my goal, do a super chat. Adrian, let me write your name. Sorry, Adrian, how are you, dear Adrian? Thank you so much for your joining, City, my dear. Hannah, how are you, dear Hannah? Thank you so much for joining City, dear Hannah. Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you, Adrian. If you can do the super chat, my dear, click on my goal, do a super chat. Yeah, thank you so much for your joining. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Maurik, how are you, Maurik? Thank you so much for joining. Maurik, how are you, Maurik? Thank you so much for your joining to City. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like, subscribing to the channel. I have love for the US people. They have joined the City. Make the like and subscribe to the channel and have to support on the screen. Yone, how are you, Yone? Thank you so much for joining to City, Yone. Thank you so much for your joining, dear Yone. A lot of love and respect for your joining, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Yone, welcome, dear Yone. Please send a laughing disco. Yone, you have to send a laughing disco, my lovely brother. Yeah, guys, anybody have to send only one laughing disco for making the happy, guys. Yeah, one laughing disco is enough for me for the today, guys. Thank you so much for your joining, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining, guys. Hurry up, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat. I send you a laughing disco. Yell, how are you, dear Yell? Thank you so much for your joining, Yell. Yell, I write your name on the sticky note if you have sent a laughing disco. Yeah. And thank you so much, Mario. Thank you. To write your name in the chat, guys. To write your name in the chat, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Cam, how are you, Cam? Thank you so much for joining to the Cam. Yell, now you have to send a laughing disco, my dear. Tamio, how are you, dear Tamio? Thank you so much for joining to the City Ring. Thank you so much for your joining, Tamio. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you so much for your joining to the City Ring, guys. Making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for being there. Hurry up, guys. Yell, can you send a laughing disco? Yes, Allah, how are you? Yes, Allah. Thank you so much for your joining. Yes, Allah. Thank you so much for your joining. Yes, Allah. Thank you. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. I'll say, how are you, dear? I'll say, thank you so much for joining to City Ring, dear. I'll say a lot of love and respect for your joining. Afrin is my name. What do you mean, my dear? Please, guys, some superhero, any superhero have to send a laughing disco, guys. and do a super chat. Hi there, hi. Thank you so much for joining to City Ring. Annie, how are you, dear Annie? Thank you so much for your joining, Annie. Please, guys, don't spam, guys. Don't spam. Don't spam on the screen, guys. Annie, how are you, dear Annie? Thank you so much for your joining to City Ring, dear Annie. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Thank you so much for the subscribing, my dear. Thank you. You should have to subscribe. You should have to do the super chat. Berfino, how are you, Berfin? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring. Bala, how are you, dear Bala? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring. Please don't spam, guys. Just you should have to write a one single name, guys. Isa, how are you, dear Isa? Thank you so much for your joining, Isa. Thank you so much. Raziki, how are you, dear Raziki? How are you, Razika, how are you, dear Razika? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. And January, how are you, John? Journey, thank you so much for joining to City Ring. Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you. JJ, thank you so much for joining to City Ring, JJ. Devi, how are you, Devi? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring. Welcome, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody can do a super chat, guys. Click on the money icon to do a super chat. Devi, I write your name, my dear Devi. Rohit, I write your name, dear Rohit. And please don't spam, guys. Please don't spam. Sohana, how are you, dear Sohana? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring, dear Sohana. Thank you. Rohit, I write your name, my dear. Anelia, how are you, dear Anelia? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring, dear Anara. How are you, Anara? Daniel, how are you, Daniel? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring, dear Daniel. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Samira, how are you, dear Samira? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Samira. Daniel, I read your name, my dear Daniel. Samira, how are you, Samira? Thank you so much for your joining. Please, guys, to send the laughing disco, send the super sticker, do the super chat, guys. Do the super chat, super sticker, send a laughing disco. Anything you should have to send, guys. Jaden, how are you, dear Jaden? Thank you so much, dear Jaden. Thank you. Habiba, how are you, dear Habiba? Thank you so much for joining to City Ring, Habiba. Sorry, Habia. Thank you so much for joining, Habia. Abresh, how are you, dear Abresh? Thank you so much for joining, Abresh. How are you, pretty Abresh? Thank you so much for your joining, pretty Abresh. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. Making the like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, if someone has do the super chat, he will be got the blue title of my screen, guys. Yeah, he will be got the blue title of my screen. Bashir, I am from Pakistan, Bashir. Thank you. Rahina, how are you, dear Rahina? Thank you so much for joining. Oh, thank you for the follow state. Thank you. Rahina, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, my love. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Just stay there. Let me write your name. Louis, thank you. Thank you so much. God bless you, dear Louis. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Healthy love, my dear. God bless you. Healthy love. Always be happy. Thank you. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you so much. Let me write your name on. Let me write your name on my sticky notes. Just be stay there. Yeah. Just aware. Thank you. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you so much, Lewis. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lewis. Gracia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear. God bless you. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you, Louis. Grace, thank you so much. God bless you. Healthy love, my dear. A lot of love and respect. Every single person make the heart for the Lewis, guys. Lewis is a great person, is a kind. Thank you so much for your donation, my dear. Rafina, how are you doing, Rafina? Thank you so much for your joining, Rafina. Thank you. Menahel, how are you, Menahel? Thank you so much for your joining, Menahel. Every respected member to write your name in the chat. Bushara, how are you, Bushara? Thank you so much for your joining, Bushara. I write your name, Menahel, Bushara. Every name I have to write on my screen, Bushara. I write your name, my dear. Yeah. And now, Augustine, how are you, dear Augustine? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining, Augustine. How are you, Augustine? Thank you so much for your joining. Hi, dear. Thank you so much for your joining. Lily, I write your name, dear Lily. Thank you so much, Lily. How are you, pretty Lily? Thank you. Thank you so much, Jackson. How are you, Jackson? Thank you so much for joining to sit Ranger Jackson. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Shiza, how are you, pretty Shiza? Thank you so much for your joining, Shiza. Amin, how are you, dear Amin? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Amin. A lot of love and respect for you joining. Thank you so much for your joining, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel, and a lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribe. Let me give the time out to the spamming person, guys. Just a while, just wait a while, guys. Let me give the time out to the spamming person. Just a while, guys. Tracy, how are you, Tracy? Thank you. Tracy, don't spam, guys. Don't spam, please. Tracy, thank you so much for your joining. Athena, how are you, Athena? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Athena. Thank you so much for your joining, Athena. Ekam, how are you, Ekam? Thank you so much for joining, Ekam. How are you, dear Ekam? Where are you from watching? And thank you so much, Pare. How are you, dear Pare? Thank you so much for your joining. Olivia, how are you, dear Olivia? Thank you so much for your joining, Olivia. Thank you, Olivia. Malice, how are you, dear Malice? Thank you so much for your joining to stream. Omar, how are you, dear Omar? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Omar. How are you, dear Omar? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Omar. Thank you. Lydia, how are you, dear Lydia? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Lydia. A lot of love. Omar, I write your name, Omar. Lydia, I write your name. Malice, I write your name. I write the every person, yeah. I write the every person, guys. Thank you so much for your joining. To write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for your joining, guys. Thank you. Sihaj, how are you, Sihaj? Thank you so much for joining to stream. That's Sapam. Pare, I write your name, Pare. Looks that. Sihaj, thank you so much for joining to stream. Olivia, I write your name, Olivia. Why spamming, guys? Why you have to like spamming? Olivia, look that Olivia has been written. Why people have to spamming like, guys? Why they did not have to focus on the screen? You now have a very tough to writing the name, of the every person. It's a very hard to Leora. How are you, Leora? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Leora. Thank you so much for your joining to stream, making the like and subscribing to the channel. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your joining. Amiri, how are you, Amiri? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Amiri. Gray, how are you, dear Gray? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Gray. Thank you so much for your joining, Gray. Yolini, how are you, Yolini? Thank you so much for joining, Yolini. Olivia, I'm writing your last name, Olivia. Olivia, how are you, Olivia? Thank you so much for your joining, Olivia. Peace, how are you, dear Peace? Thank you so much for your joining, Peace. Samar, how are you, dear Samar? Thank you so much for joining, Samar. Leonie, how are you, dear Leonie? Thank you so much for joining to a room, Leonie. Hurry up, guys. Thank you. Peace, where are you from watching, dear Peace? Ayusha, how are you, pretty Ayusha? Thank you so much for joining to a ring. That girl, Peace. Ayusha, thank you so much for joining to a ring. To write your name, guys. Madini, how are you, Madini? Eunice, how are you, Eunice? Thank you so much for joining to a ring. Please, guys, don't spam me on the screen, guys. Yes, just you should have to write your name, send the laughing disco for the appreciation, guys, and do the super chat. Yeah, do the super chat and send the laughing disco, guys. That's my support. You have to send the laughing disco. You have to send the laughing disco. You have to send a follow state. Samar, how are you, dear Samar? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Samar. A lot of love and respect. Please read that the girl piece. Girl piece. That girl piece. That girl piece. Okay, I have write that girl piece. Yeah. Thank you. Where are you from watching, girl piece? Where are you from watching, pretty? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you. Hello, dear Forest. How are you, Forest? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Forest. A lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Forest. Mariam, how are you, Mariam? Thank you so much for joining to screen. Zozia, how are you, Zozia? What did you say? I say, where are you from watching? Rafila, how are you, Rafila? Don't spam, guys. Rafila, how are you, Rafila? Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you so much, Samar. Thank you so much for joining to a ring. What do you mean? Where are you from, my dear? Samar, how are you, Samar? Thank you so much for joining. Hoppy, how are you, Hoppy? Thank you so much for your joining, Hoppy. How are you, Hoppy? Thank you, Hoppy. Hussein, how are you, dear Hussein? Thank you so much for your joining to a room, Hussein. Thank you, welcome. Somebody have to send a laughing disco, guys. Yeah, click on the goal. You will be showing the goal on here, guys. Click on my goal. When are you doing to do the month? What do you mean, my dear? Hi, you are so pretty. Thank you so much. Click on the goal, guys. You have to do a super chat by the goal. Paulina, thank you so much for joining to stream, Paulina. Thank you. Stella, how are you, dear Stella? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Stella. Cancel, how are you, dear? How are you, Cancel? How are you, dear Cancel? Cancel, thank you so much for joining to stream. Thank you so much for your joining, my dear. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Stella, I write your name. When are you going? Zaneb, how are you, Zaneb? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Zaneb. Thank you. Zaneb, you have sent a laughing disco today, dear Zaneb, for my support. Yeah, you have to send only one laughing disco for my support, my dear. Thank you so much for your joining, dear Zanem. Thank you. Thank you so much for the subscribing. Thank you. Samin, how are you, Samin? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Samin. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you so much for your joining. How are you, Zana? To write your name in the chat, guys. Asgi, what's doing right now? Thank you so much for joining to Citrin. Thank you. How are you? I'm good, my dear. I'm good. Just I'm writing your name. I did not get to support from the 3 day. I'm waiting for that. To someone has to support me for the today. That my 3 day, my 3 day loss has been recovered. I'm waiting for that. Someone has to do a big super chat. My 3 day loss has been recovered. Natella, how are you, Natella? Can you send me a laughing disco today, my dear? Natelle, how are you, Natelle? Thank you so much, Natelle. Okay, but I have to go. Okay, okay, dear. If you can to do send a laughing disco, if you can easily, yeah. Thank you so much for you joining, my dear. Laura Kuna, I write your name, my dear. Natalie, I write your name, Natalie. Looks that I write your name. Alicia, how are you, Alicia? Thank you so much for joining, Alicia. Thank you. Alicia, I write your name, Alicia. Thank you so much for your joining. Laura, I write your name, Laura. Amna, how are you, pretty Amna? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Amna. Laura, simple Laura. Thank you so much for you joining. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for you joining, guys. Please send a laughing disco, guys, or do a super chat or send a laughing disco for the appreciation for spreading the love, guys. Only a one superhero to send a laughing disco. Thank you, Amina. I write your name, Amina. Vite, how are you, dear Vite? Thank you so much for you joining, Vite. Hi, Rockin. How are you, Rockin? Thank you so much for joining. Madison, how are you, Madison? Please send a laughing disco, guys, please. Don't spam. If you got, then you will be got the time already from my mod, guys. Don't spam. Just you should have to write, Madison. I write your name, my dear. Just you should have to write a single name, guys. Just you should have to write this single name. If someone has to Rakesh, how are you, Rakesh? If someone has to disturbing, then he will be got 2 time order. Yeah, guys. Thank you. Thank you. And you have to write dot. You have to write your name, my dear. Sabtan, how are you, dear Sabtan? Thank you so much for joining to a Citrin, Sabtan. Thank you so much for joining. Turkey. Thank you, Turkey. Asbela. Thank you so much for you joining, Asbela. I write your name, my dear. Nihan, how are you, Nihan? Thank you so much for you joining, Nihan. Asbela, how are you, dear Asbela? Thank you so much for you joining, Asbela. I love and respect for you joining. Please, guys, some superhero. Only one superhero to send a laughing disco, guys. Yeah, one superhero to send a laughing disco. Mirab, how are you, dear Mirab? Thank you so much for your joining, Mirab. X1, it is not a what do you have to write your name? Yeah, you have to write your name once again. Yasin, how are you, Yasin? Thank you. Ronaldo, how are you, Ronaldo? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Ronaldo. It's not Niha. It is it's Niha. Niha, how are you, dear Niha? Niha. Thank you so much for your joining, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Zaneb, how are you, dear Zaneb? Thank you so much for joining to Citrima there. Hurry up, guys. Every single person have to write your name in the chat, guys. making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up guys, every single person have to write your name in the chat. That's the palm guys. Karen, how are you Karen? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Karen. Thank you Karen for joining to a stream, my dear. Alije, how are you Alije? Mary Beth, how are you Mary Beth? How are you Mary Beth? Thank you so much for joining. Alije, how are you Alije? Thank you so much for joining Alije. Karen, I write your name, my dear. Stephanie, how are you dear Stephanie? Thank you so much for your joining, Stephanie. How are you dear Stephanie? Thank you so much for joining, for spamming my screen. Thank you Stephanie. Thank you Roya, how are you dear Roya? Thank you. I love how you said my name sounds cool, so cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have to look so cool. You have to do a cooling super chat. You have to do a cooling super chat. Yeah, too. You have to make me happy for the super chat. Click on the goal. Yeah, click on the goal. Click on the goal. You have to do a super chat. So yeah, click on the money icon to do the super chat, my dear. Yeah, I will be really so happy. You have to make me happy like you are feeling right now. Hannah, how are you Hannah? Thank you so much for your joining, Hannah, and lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you so much for your joining. Yeah guys, you have to make me happy like that, and that I have to making you are happy for writing your name. Yeah, my happiness with you. You have to do a donation. You have to make me happy by the donation. That's doesn't matter. You have to make a go. You make a small. You make a big. Anything you should have to do for mines. I will be accept. Yeah, I have to accept the small or a big chat. Hi there, thank you so much for joining to Citrine. Thank you so much for your joining. Hatter, how are you, Hatter? Thank you so much for your joining, Hatter. Tebu, how are you, dear Tebu? Thank you so much for your joining, Tebu. Latia, how are you, dear Latia? Thank you so much for your joining, Latia. I love and respect. Thank you so much for your joining. to write your name in the chat, guys. Vezu, how are you, dear Vezu? Thank you so much for your joining, Vezu. A lot of love and respect for your joining. Hurry up, guys. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat. Amelia, how are you, dear Amelia? How are you, Amelia? Amelia, can you do a super chat, my pretty Amelia? Thank you so much for your joining. Alice, how are you, Alice? You have to make me happy, guys. For the super chat. Pika, how are you, Pika? Thank you so much, Pika. A lot of love and respect, Pika. Era, I write your name, Era. Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, Era. Danny, how are you, dear Danny? Thank you so much for your joining, Danny. Please, guys, someone do a super chat, send a laughing disco, guys. Amarhan, how are you, Amarhan? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, Amarhan. Thank you so much for your joining. Thank you. Amin, how are you, Amin? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, Amin. Zara, how are you, Zara? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, dear Zara. Thank you. Carlton, how are you, dear Carlton? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, dear Carlton. Thank you. Vivan, how are you, dear Vivan? Thank you so much for joining, Vivan. Carlton, I write your name, my dear. Omar, how are you, dear Omar? Thank you so much for your journey, Omar. Sia, how are you, Sia? Thank you so much for joining, Sia. Asbela, how are you, dear Asbela? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, Asbela. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Benjamin, how are you, Benjamin? Thank you so much for joining, Benjamin. Hurry up, guys. Hi, Kale. How are you, Kale? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring, lovely Kale. Lara, how are you, Lara? Thank you so much for joining, Lara. It says she. Okay, my dear. Valentina, how are you, Valentina? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Ring. If you spam, you will be got the time out, guys. You should write a only single name. Valentino, how are you, Valentino? And Dajjal, how are you, Dajjal? Thank you so much for joining. Matteo, how are you, Matteo? Thank you so much for your joining, Matteo. Yeah, guys. Dalla Ram, how are you, Dalla Ram? Thank you so much for joining, Dalla Ram. Thank you so much for your joining, Dalla Ram. A lot of love and respect for your joining, Dalla Ram. How are you, dear Dalla Ram? Thank you so much for your joining. Hello, Lara. How are you, Lara? Guys, anybody have to send only one laughing disco? Can I will be your mode? Yeah, you will be my mode, but you have to do a super chat, then you will become my mode. Lara, how are you, Lara? Where are you from watching? Let me where are you from watching? Rohan, how are you, dear Rohan? Lena, how are you, dear Lena? Thank you so much for your joining, dear Lena. I need to pay more money. Your support to pay me. United States. Thank you so much for watching, United States. Rohan, thank you so much for watching from California. And Dia, how are you, dear Dia? Thank you so much. Why, guys? Many people are watching from California, from USA, but you have to do a super chat for the today, guys. Yeah, you make me happy, guys, for the today. You know, today I am very sad. Yeah, If you have to do a super chat, I will be really for make me you. I will be very feel happy. Kevin, how are you, Kevin? Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. California, yeah, I know the California. Lucida, you make a small super chat, guys. No, that's not about. You have to do a big super chat. You have $10, $20, $30. Adron, thank you, Adron. $30, $40, $50. That's maximum. Yeah, it's not a big amount. It's not a big for the super chat. Thank you, Yuna. Echoes, how are you, Echoes? Thank you so much for joining, Echoes. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. Tiona, how are you, dear Tiona? Thank you so much for joining, Tiona. Yeah, guys, do the super chat for making my happy. Asile, how are you, Asile? Thank you. And also send a laughing disco, guys. Flow state, laughing disco. Karim, how are you, Karim? Adere, how are you, dear Adere? Thank you so much for your joining, Adere. Anna, how are you, dear Anna? Thank you, Anna. Please, guys, do a super chat, guys. Do the super chat, guys. Please, it's a request, guys. Yeah, do a super chat. Anna, I write your name pretty, Anna. Thank you so much for your joining. Zahra, how are you, dear Zahra? Thank you so much for your joining, guys. Abhijit, Abhijit. Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you. Arife, how are you, Arife? Thank you so much for joining. Ale, how are you, Ale? Thank you so much for your joining. Ale, how are you, Ale? Annie, how are you, dear Annie? Thank you so much for your joining, Annie. Thank you. Catalina, how are you, dear Catalina? Thank you, Catalina. Catalina, why you are spamming, my dear? What you are getting by the spamming? You tell me. I'm writing your name. You should have to write TC. How are you, TC? I am fine. Where are you from watching, my dear? Can you do a super chat for the format to this poll, my dear? I'm sorry, but I have just really liked your videos. Thank you for liking my dear video, my dear. Anybody can do a super chat, guys, for the today. Bogre, how are you, Bogre? Thank you. Yeah, can you do a super chat, my dear? Laren, how are you, Laren? Thank you so much, Laren, for joining. Manon, how are you, Manon? Manila, thank you so much for joining, Manila. Please, guys, do a small donation, guys. Do a small donation, guys. Megan, how are you, Megan? Iran, I write the Iran, guys. Anak, how are you, dear Anak? Thank you so much for joining, Anak. Niku, how are you, Niku? Megan, how are you, Megan? Please, guys, do a donation, guys. Only have to do a super chat by goal. Only one super chat, guys. Yeah, guys, you have to do a super chat by one super chat by goal. Sophia, how are you, dear Sophia? Anna, Anna, how are you, dear Anna? How are you, dear Anna? Thank you so much for joining, Anna. Yeah, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Olivia, how are you, dear Olivia? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Olivia. Leonie, how are you, Leonie? Please send a laughing disco, guys. Leonie, how are you, Leonie? Thank you so much for joining. Anna, how are you, dear Anna? Thank you so much for your joining, Anna. Anna, how are you, dear Anna? Thank you so much for joining. Anybody can send the laughing disco, guys, or do the super chat, guys. Can you say Hadley? How are you, Hadley? Kale, how are you, dear Kale? Thank you so much for joining, Kale. How are you, Kale? Thank you so much for your joining. Alex, how are you, dear Alex? Thank you so much for joining to stream. To Rajan. Gabi, how are you, dear Gabi? Thank you so much for joining, Gabi. Sabnam, how are you, Sabnam? Thank you so much for joining. Alejandro, how are you, Alejandro? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Alejandro. Who is going to Peril? How are you, Peril? Thank you so much for joining us. Please, guys, Peril, thank you so much for joining, Peril. Who is going to doing the super chat, guys? Katin, how are you, dear Katin? Thank you so much for joining to stream, Katin. Kian, how are you, Kian? Thank you so much for joining, Kian. Pancake, how are you, Pancake? Who's eat the pancake, guys? Felix, how are you, Felix? Amy, how are you, Amy? Thank you so much for joining, dear Amy. Yakini, how are you, Yakini? Sushi, how are you, Sushi? Maki, how are you, Maki? Please, guys, do a super chat, guys. Please do a super chat, guys. Thank you, guys. Abigail, how are you, Abigail? Nitale, how are you, Nitale? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Disco, how are you, Disco? Send a laughing disco, guys, please. Tara, it's your last name, Tara. Please, guys, who is going to sending the laughing disco, guys? If someone has to send a laughing disco, then I will be write the name, the next name, guys. Alicia, how are you, Alicia? Alicia, how are you, Alicia? Amy, how are you, Amy? Thank you. Evelyn, how are you, Evelyn? Pedro, Kale, Bugle, Kale, Rokio, Seventos, Yami, Seventos, I write Rokio, Gracias, Gracias, Hecora, Gracia, Hello, Ken. Thank you so much for joining, Ken. How are you, my lovely brother? I'm back there, Ken. Please, guys, send a laughing disco. Do the super chat, guys. Thank you so much for the rating, everybody. Thank you. A lot of love and respect, guys. Any single person had to send the laughing disco. Do the super chat, guys. Let me erase all of them, guys, to write the names, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for you joining, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Where are you from watching, Ken? Thank you. Where are you from watching, dear Ken? Thank you so much for joining Twisted Dream, dear Ken. Thank you. South Africa. Thank you for watching from South Africa. Thomas, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. I'm Zulu. Karan, how are you, Karan? Thank you so much for joining, Karan. How are you, Zulu? Thank you, Zulu.